See if that one gets canceled.
All right, so we are bringing back the Brown and Castillo breakdowns, and this week I spent the last couple days organizing the playlist a little bit because we have a couple playlists over at Tiger Mind Report on our YouTube page, and we have stuff going back from 2019. Of course, there's no minor league season in 2020, so I spent the last couple days organizing it because there's a lot of stuff that we posted that we've kind of forgotten about. And we had the Carfax idea that we never really were consistent about. So we're trying to get more consistent with these things. So first and foremost, if you want to, you can go to our patreon.com/Tiger Mind Report to support the Patreon, as we'll put out bonus content. The minor league, there's an article out there too as well that breaks down the StatCast data. So we got that up there for Patreon only folks. We gotta give you a reason why to go out there, and all the money goes back to supporting the site. So right now we have Wilmer Flores, who is off to a rough start down in Erie, but there's a couple factors that played into this a little bit. And Chris and I got to see him last week.
The first pitch of tonight's game
in Erie for opening day.
Yeah, you can see us in this video.
If you
focus
right.
Well, I don't know if you have the cursor there.
Yeah, right.
Pause
there.
it. That's you. Yeah, and I'm in like my little purple Barney hoodie, kind of hidden.
Yeah.
Right to your right, to the left on the screen.
And I'm slouching horribly. It makes me look disgusting. And then there's Kristen's right there. Yeah, but
it's fine. Yeah, well, I mean, we wanted to do this because Flores is, like you said, he's off to a really rough start. And we had his first outing up on YouTube. And in his last two have been, what did he give up, like eight runs in his last, it's more like 13 runs or something like that in his last two outings in just 4 innings. And so we wanted to sort of give people a visual illustration of what's going wrong. And, like you said, there's a number of factors. The number one factor is that his command is just off a little bit. And to me, it looked like a timing issue. I think one thing you'll see a lot in these videos is his fastball keeps leaking up into his arm side. So like at the head of a right-handed batter.
So that's a good pitch right there.
Yeah, that was a slow down one. That was called a ball. And this one right here is one of the changeups that you were talking about. He threw a changeup right there to Mason Martin. So this was called a ball. I mean, it's probably technically low, but I think that's getting called a strike most of the time. And there's one of his changeups, and it kind of stays up, and Martin drives it for a double. Now, but so I mentioned, like, his fastballs are going to be traveling up and away, or up towards the head of, I don't know what happened there. Oh, yeah, it was a windy day, so they moved the camera every now and then because it was shaking too much. But on the flip side of that fastball issue, you'll start to see him yank a lot of breaking balls down in the dirt to his arm side, and there was a balk, or his glove side, I should say.
Yeah, and there was when I was charting all the pitches. That's why you see me with the radar gun right there, and I was charting the fact that his changeup did get both the couple times it did get hit. Pitches did get hit. See, that should have been a strike, and again, that was
that was ball 4. That pitch, and he should have gotten a strikeout on this batter too, I believe, or at least it was close enough. Like, they're close. You could call them 50-50 calls, and that's what we mean by a number of factors. Like, the command was the main issue.
Right there, yeah.
And I slowed it down here, so you should see it again. And again, it might be a little bit low, but yeah, he wasn't getting that call. And so there's some of that, and then what we'll see later is just some kind of unfortunate placement. He starts, he loads the bases here. He could have been 2 outs and a man on third. And then he starts dotting the corner here with this fastball. And then this is Connor Scott, and he just kind of pokes one out to left field. You see he's just battling here, and they keep going out there. There's the breaking ball in the dirt. They keep going out there, and he just kind of pokes it. Like, that's not a crushed ball by any means. It just, he goes out there.
And I was going to say, at that point, too, Flores was trying to overpower everybody with his fastball because couldn't get anybody on his slider. And there's another example.
Here's some foreshadowing right here. That's Mario Feliciano in left field colliding with Grant Witherspoon in center field. Feliciano is a catcher by trade. He's played some first base. And here's another kind of weakly hit ball to the opposite field. That's not destroyed by any means. It just kind of,
Also, I was also sure he wasn't playing the line too much either. I thought the defensive alignment too. I'm not going to blame. I mean, Flores. I don't know. That was more of a defensive alignment there to me, at least.
And so here's the 2-run homer he gave up, and that was, I mentioned his fastball started cutting a little bit. It looked like to me, and this one cut right over the heart of the plate. But it was also an extremely windy day, and in that one, I don't know what that pitch was. That almost looked like a knuckleball. But yeah, that was like a 365-foot fly ball to right center that cleared the wall.
Now, I think that one of the things
This
that
is his final batter here, by the way. Sorry.
it's okay. One of the things that that's where I was talking about. He started using his fastball to get himself out of jams versus, I think he was lacking slider feel to it too, because he throws that short slider, and that wasn't getting no. Again, I just didn't see it too much. And when I was charting, was essentially the changeup was getting hammered a little bit, but the slider really, when he did throw it, didn't have much zip to it. It didn't go, especially when you're talking about the right-handers. Usually, we go darts a little bit left, but it could have been the fact that he was trying to, just the command of it all just didn't seem normal, because that slider is pretty effective usually.
Yeah, I mean, that's why to me it's just like a timing issue. Something, if you let go of the ball too soon, it's going to travel up to your arm side, and if you hold on to it a little too long, it's going to go down to your glove side. And I think that's the main issue happening with him here. You see some more changeups he throws in this outing. This is the one in Richmond, but this is another one where, he didn't get quite as screwed. I mean, that was a basically a hanging breaking ball right there, like you were talking about. It wasn't very sharp, right to Patrick Bailey, former first-round pick, who went 5 for 5 that day. And you see the replay here, just right where a lefty wants it. But in this one, there's just some ground balls with eyes, and there are 2 particularly bad plays by Feliciano in left field. And I don't give him 100% of the blame because it's also a very windy day. But this is a dude who's barely played outfield. He's a catcher, so he's not he's not gonna help you much on defense. And you can see, we've seen a couple times that fastball keeps traveling up towards the right-handed hitters. And I think that's a relatively easy fix, but maybe not because of there's a strike him out, throw him out. Nice throw by Josh Crouch. Because Flores has always had kind of an exaggerated follow through and a little bit of head whack there at the end.
Yeah, somebody was mentioning that in the YouTube comments when you originally posted this, that his follow through is kind of throws him off, and that sets off his balance.
Yeah, and that's why before last year, people were projecting him as a bullpen guy, and then he went out and threw tons of strikes last year. He walked like 20 people all year. So it's in some regard,
he got hosed out there. That's a bad call too.
Surprising, and on the other ways, it's not. But yeah, so I mean, you got a combination of factors. There's something wrong with his timing. There's some sort of relatively weak contact in the right spot. There's some poor defense, and there's some bad weather and some missed calls. Like it's I don't think it's nearly as dire as his numbers would suggest. He does need to rein in that command for sure, and that's the most important thing. But some of it other is just kind of extenuating circumstances that might happen to any pitcher.
Yeah, I think it's a little different than, say, Reese Olson too, because I mean, Reese Olson right now, a lot of his stuff that's just hanging up there is getting hammered. I mean, the case in point, as soon as I said that, goes right there. But that's one of those things where I think for Olson, and we'll definitely break down one of his starts coming up soon. Mm-hmm. I think for Olson, it's just been really fastball heavy, and if he throws at secondaries, he's not really getting any swings and misses on it either. I mean, well, to be fair, he had 11 swings and misses in his last start. See, again, how did that not strike? That's just ridiculous.
Maybe a little low, but yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that I'm seeing that. But there, and right after that was that fastball up and at the batter's head. Yeah, we'll look at Olson. I think he's at this point. I think he's gun shy. Like he's starting walking a bunch of guys too. So we'll have to take a closer look at that. But we had concerns about Olson before this rough start, and I think the concerns have been sort of justified, if you will. With Flores, Flores was legit last year. He threw tons of strikes. Got a lot of swings and misses with his fastball, as his slider and his curve. He's adding in a changeup more this year, as you talked about. It's a work in progress. So there's a grounder up the middle. It's relatively hard, but it just one of those things that it got to the outfield. And there's another one of those coming up soon. And it just kind of like a snowball game. So here's the first Feliciano adventure in left field, and this is just unfortunate.
He has no idea where it's at. Wow. Yeah, there's.
Yeah. And yeah, to be fair, this game was played at it started at 11:30 in the morning. So it's sunny, it's windy, and he's not played a lot of left field. And he doesn't even really come close to this.
Yeah, that's like me out in softball playing sometimes. And even the thing, getting back to the changeup for just a moment too.
There's
One of the
right
things
there.
that, yeah, and that's a pitch right there that on lefties, and I should rewind this because there was something that I wanted to point out. And we saw the video back in the winter. This is the ideal what you want to do with this changeup because going away on lefties, so it tails away. It has a little more
pitch
shape
right
to
here.
it. Yeah, that's
That one
another
right
one.
here.
Right
Yeah, you see it. It's fading away. Yeah, that was pretty good. That's promising, but it's obviously it's a feel pitch, and it's going to take him a while to trust it more. And I think that was another one right there. But yeah, it just yeah, he's spinning off a lot more, and I got to call it third strike there. So it felt like he was going to get out of this, and then you end up with, I believe, another kind of grounder with eyes, and then another Feliciano adventure, and that's the end of his outing. And part of it is like, hey, the pitch count is up there, so there's the bouncer that just gets through, right? Like that's not hard contact. It's as a pitcher, you did most of your job, and yeah, here I think is the final Feliciano insult.
How many pitches were thrown here? He's because it's a hard cap, unlike what people think that we don't know this, but a hard cap of 30 pitches per inning, correct? I mean, if once a pitcher hits it,
generally speaking, I think they get maybe one batter after.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a toughie. I mean, that one you could tell the wind got a hold of it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't want guys throwing much more than 30 pitches per inning because, and it's more about like the intensity with which you have to pitch when you have guys on base and the concentration, and that's when mechanics start to break down and you get injured. But
yeah, that's what Hinch talked about that too. He just recently talked about that on the presser the other day in regards to if there's for the sake of injury purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they just want to be careful with these guys, and then there's nothing. I mean, they want to experience winning and getting innings, but they don't. I mean, the last thing you want to do is burn somebody out in a relatively meaningless minor league game, right? So yeah, they pulled him. I think after that second Feliciano adventure, and it may have been tough for any outfielder on that day, but I think a more experienced outfielder like an Andrew Navigato, when he comes back, or maybe a Ben Malgeri if he gets promoted, I think that's gonna be a defensive upgrade by a couple grades, if you will, from like 20 grade defender to a 40 to 50. So at least, so that'll help a little bit. And I think they'll get the timing issue worked out. At least that I hope so. If not, what do we say about development? It doesn't always.
It's not always, it's not always linear, if you will. No,
this could be a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, and here's another thing too. And before we get out of here, one of the things that about these pitchers too is they have a slow ramp up in spring training. They kind of wait till after the big leaguers start spring, so it's like a week afterwards. Like Erie had a small camp in Lakeland, but again, who pitched or what happened, I'm not really. To be honest with you, I'm not really sure. However, they did play a couple exhibition games. Whether Flores pitched or not, I don't know, but you would think that this is kind of for them a little bit of a spring training because, for example, Madden came out and pitched like gangbusters the first game. Second start, got squeezed a little bit, but he struggled with command again. But it just happens.
Part of becoming, these guys come out of college basically with the raw stuff that they take to the major leagues most of the time. Some guys get velocity gains, and a lot of times they'll sharpen up the breaking balls or work on changeups, right? But it's still kind of the same arm in the foundations for the stuff that they have. It's just the process of going through the minors, you learn how to be more consistent with it and how to repeat better and things like that. And that's going to lead to some inconsistencies, like Ty Madden looking like a monster in his first outing and struggling in his second, and Wilmer Flores, having some timing issues with his pitches in his first three outings, and Dylan Smith struggling and Reese Olson struggling. Like, it's going to happen. You just got to hope that the guys can work through it, because figuring out a way how to, come out of the struggles is what makes you a better big leaguer.
And if you get a chance, check out the immaculate inning by Dylan Smith that happened on Wednesday against Richmond, and he kind of went downhill from that. Well, I mean, I think it was really the third inning where he kind of struggled a little bit, but overall, that first inning is a prime example of what Dylan Smith is capable of. Goes in there, attacks his zone, had a really good curve. His curveball was looking pretty good, and then just again, I don't know what it is about Erie and Richmond that I don't get it.
Yeah.
Man. I really don't.
Yeah, Greg tells us. I mean, I think Erie is got like a 300 winning percentage in Richmond over the last 20 years. They just never play well there. They did, took a series down in Richmond at the end of last year with the infamous Quincy Naporti home run. But yeah, it's just one of those things. And I don't know, like this is, call me crazy, but I kind of like to see these guys struggle a little bit early in the year so we can keep track of their progress and see if they're improving over the course of the season.
Precisely. I mean, this is again, we know he's working on his changeup. It's the third pitch for him to be. If they want him to be if he wants to be a major league starter, he has to throw 3 pitches. It's as simple as that. And so I rather see this struggle versus something that could be non-related. If it was something like, if it was like, for example, or even for that matter, an injury. So you just want to make sure that they go up there with a certain plan. They have to throw a certain amount of pitches, and if it doesn't happen, then it is what it is. But they have a plan when they go out there.
Yeah, and the alternative is kind of what we've seen with like a Matt Manning, right? Where he just, he was dominant through Double-A, and then once he started facing more advanced hitters, he really struggled. And it's like, do you want him to have their struggles in the minors, or do you want him to struggle in the majors? I'd rather they struggle in the minors and figure things out, but maybe you'll end up having both. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but we'll keep an eye on Flores. And Madden goes, I believe, on Friday.
I believe, yes, it's Herder today, so I think it's Madden tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, check out all the great stuff over at Tiger Manley Report, MLReport.com, and go to our website, check out the latest articles, and surf our YouTube page, like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. And again, we appreciate all the feedback we've been getting lately, and expect to probably the next player breakdown, probably more likely outside of Reese Olson, is Justin Henry Malloy, who's been on a tear, and we'll definitely be highlighting his progress as he had a home run today for Toledo, and I think went 4 for. He had 4 hits?
No, he had 2 hits and a walk today, I think.
Oh, 2 hits and a walk. Okay,
yeah, he had a single, but the walk was an 11 pitch at bat where he just battled, and like he's just such an annoying plate appearance for all pitchers. I love it. And the home run came off Daniel Norris. It was a bomb. Kind of reminded me of when Riley Green destroyed Bo Burrow's pitch. It was like, past and future. But, yeah, that'd be fun. We may have to do Kristen Santana at the end of this week because
yes, yeah, I was gonna, we need to address that because somebody called me out last week saying, I don't know about Kristen Santana, and I was like, no, he's fine. But after I saw yesterday, I sort of understand.
Well,
so
yeah, again, very young guy, and
right.
If people want to give us suggestions of who to break down, we'd be more than happy to, right?
Yes, actually, you know what? That's a good idea. So if you have any suggestions,
put a name in the suggestion box with a couple bucks, and
yeah, there you go. Yeah, if you want to give us a super thanks and give us there's a super thanks button there, you give us a couple bucks and we'll break down a player for you. I mean, if you're looking for an Andrew Magno player breakdown, by all means. I mean, he's popular on Twitter, and so there you go. Yeah, we'll do that for you. So myself and Chris, we'll see you next time.